Hello and welcome to the Croplands Demonstration Project tutorial. My name is Haley Nagel and I'm the Outreach and Education Specialist for the Comet Farm team at Colorado State University. In this video, I will be showing you how to create a Croplands demonstration project as well as walking you through each management pane. To begin, we're going to start at the Comet Farm URL, which is at comet-farm.com. As soon as you enter the site, you'll be greeted by a welcome window that outlines all of the most recent large updates. You can pause the video now to read those updates, or you can visit the site. I'm going to select close, and we're going to begin using the tool. To begin using the tool, we're going to start by signing in, which you can either do by selecting the top right corner, you can select tool, or you can select the big orange button that says start using Comet Farm. Here you'll be taken to the login page, and I already have a Comet Farm account, which you can create yours here by selecting register, or you can continue without registration. We do highly recommend creating an account because with this you can create a project and you can navigate away from your project and return back to it later. Without an account, you will lose all of the information that you add into your project. So we're going to sign in, and you'll be taken to your tool project page, which yours might look a little different than mine because I have so many projects in here. But as you create new projects, they will populate in alphabetical order when you return back to this page. So we're going to start by creating a demonstration project by selecting this button up top that says Create Demo Project. Cropland is the first one that is on here, so it's already selected, but you can investigate what the other projects will go through by selecting the little blue question mark. So we're going to select Create. And when you first create a new project or a new demo project, it will appear at the very bottom, but will appear alphabetically later on when you return to this page. We know we'll be working on this particular project because it is bolded and there's a little black arrow there. You can also delete and rename your projects as well here. So because this is a demonstration project, all of the management that is populated in this project is already included, so users only have to worry about navigating through the project. Our Cropland, Pasture, Range, Orchard, Vineyard is selected here, so we're going to select Define Activities, and you're taken to the first management page, which is defining your parcels. For the demonstration projects, you will also be greeted by a little window that gives you some more background information on the particular project. You can pause the video to read that now. I'm going to select OK. Because it is a demo project, our parcel is already added here, and this is in Iowa. And this parcel was created by adding a parcel by polygon. So if you were to add another one on your own project, you could select Add Parcel by Polygon and create the shape of your field that you'd like and name that here. But we only want one parcel for the demo project. You could also add a parcel by point, circle, or by uploading an Esri shapefile. For more information on uploading shapefiles and tips and tricks with that, you can select the Need Help widget in the bottom right corner that will follow you on every page of Comet Farm and search for shapefiles here. Another feature on the map page is the soil definition feature. By selecting soils in the top right corner of your map, the soil map units for your entire screen will populate on here. And then you can select View Soil by Click, in which case you can click anywhere on the map and more information about your soil type will populate here as well. I'm going to select OK. And when you are done defining all of your parcels, you can select I'm done defining parcels. We would recommend about 15 to 20 parcels maximum per project, and recommended no more than 1,500 acres per project. You can create unlimited amount of projects on the user interface, but the more projects, the more parcels that you have per project will take a longer time to get your report back. So we're going to select Done Defining Parcels, and then we're going to go to our Historic Management page. Again, you're greeted with some more background information, but we're going to walk through that. And on the Historic Management page, you'll notice that we moved from parcel location to Historic Management, and this is the time period before 2000. If you had more than one parcel, you could look at your parcels using the drop-down button, or you could zoom out on this little interactive map. And then you're going to populate the management information using the drop-down bars. Because this is a demo project, everything is already pre-populated, so you don't need to change anything. but you can, if you would like to, you can alternate. You can use the drop downs to investigate what options are offered here, or you can select the blue question marks for more information. If you did have more than one parcel um, in your project and they had similar historic management between these two parcels, two or more parcels, and they were located within the same county, you could copy management information from one parcel to another by selecting them here. I only have one parcel, so nothing appears here. We're going to exit out of that. And we're going to select next. Here we are taken to our baseline management page. And our baseline management is the current business as usual, what is happening now on this parcel. Again, you get some more information. And we are looking at a corn soybean rotation with intensive till for corn and reduced till for soybeans. Just like the historic management page, you will have an interactive map that you can toggle between parcels. You can also toggle between parcels with the drop-down menu, but we only have one parcel for the demo project. This baseline was actually created using drag and drop crop rotation. And so that would be this big orange button here. And you're greeted by a window. And so the entire baseline was populated by selecting crops in the rotation. So we had corn, we had soybeans, both were not irrigated, and our soybeans were reduced till. So you can modify your options here by just selecting on the box and selecting your tillage implement here. While you're selecting these here, you will be asked about them again, so you can make any modifications there. There are also additional tillage management practices that are offered on the tillage pane that we will get to in a second. And so by selecting create rotation here, our entire baseline period is going to be populated with default values for harvest, planting dates, as well as the tillage that we selected and typical fertilizing practices based off of survey data for this particular crop in your particular region where you defined your parcel. So because this is a demo project, I'm not going to change anything, so I'm just going to exit out of this. But your entire baseline would be populated with that 2-year rotation. We know we are working on this particular crop and year because it is bolded here. And you can have a maximum of 3 crops per calendar year as long as the planting and harvest dates do not overlap. And I will show you how to add an additional crop if you so wish. I would also like to point out that we are on the first page of this navigation map up top. And so because we use the drag and drop crop rotation, also because it is a demo project, everything is populated here. And so if your crop of choice was not in the drag and drop selection over here, you could use the drop down menus to select from additional crops over here or select from seasonal crops or orchard and vineyards. If your crop does not appear on here, you can send us a message through the Need Help widget, contact us, and describe your crop of choice. And we may be able to offer a surrogate, so a crop that we do have that might model similarly. There are some crops, however, that are not available for accounting in Comet Farm at this time, such as apples and other crops as well. So you can add additional harvest dates by selecting the Add New Harvest, and anything that Comet Farm populates or defaults, you can make any sort of adjustments by double clicking on those cells there. You can make an adjustment to the harvest date by also clicking on that, but you'll have to use the calendar to navigate through to find whichever date you would like. We're not going to make any changes because this is a demo project, and there was no grazing events on here as well, but for your own project, you could add that in. Grazing events, you will get the warning message if you don't have animal ag selected because we are only looking at the emissions related to the cropland on this particular accounting activity. So I'm going to exit out of that. And then to move on to the next navigation pane, you can select the next one up top, or you can scroll down to the bottom and select next. You notice that we are still on the only parcel that we have, still in year 2000, still on corn. Because we use the drag and drop, and it's a demo project, so everything's populated, the intensive till is populated here, and our date is applied based off of the average tillage dates for this particular region. You can make any modifications again by selecting the cell here and picking which implementation matches yours closely. For more information on how Comet Farm models different tillage implements, you can select the little blue question mark to get some more information about the tillage definition and implement used. We're going to select the fertilizer application to move on to the next pane. And again, this is pre-populated because we use the drag and drop crop rotation. Any new fertilizer application here is going to pre-populate with default values, but you can make a modification to any of these by double clicking on the cell here or here. We're going to exit out of this because we want to leave the management as the demo project has it. And we're going to go to our next page, which is manure compost. There is no manure application for the corn here, but if you were to add a new manure application, you could select here and select from your manure type. And if your manure type is not here that you would like, you can select other manure and fill in the information based off of what you have in your lab report. So I'm going to exit out of that and move on to the next page where we've got irrigation application practices. And so you can add a new irrigation application here, select the date, again, select the inches per application. I'm not going to do that for the demo project. You can go to the next page, which is liming, and select your liming material. This one does not have any, so we're going to go to the next page, which is burning. There was no burning event. So we've now reached the last management page for our only parcel for our first year and our only crop during this year. So at this point, you can scroll down to the bottom and select next. Here is your opportunity to add an additional cover crop or more than one crop for the same calendar year. If you were to do this, you can select yes, add crop, and it's going to populate next to your first crop of that year. Remember, you can add up to 3 crops per calendar year as long as their dates do not overlap. We are not going to add an additional crop, so this is a good opportunity to show you how to delete a crop. And so to do that, you're going to make sure that the correct crop is selected, and then you know that it's selected because it's bolded, and then you can select delete crop here. So at this point, we've returned back to the very first page. And so I'm going to skip to the last page to go back to where we were, and we select next, and we don't want to add an additional crop, so we're going to select no thanks. And at this point, you have the ability to copy all of the management information from one year and parcel to another year and other parcels. If we had more parcels, they would appear below this, and all of the years would appear to the right. We know we are selecting or we are copying from this year because there's a little green check mark, and we can copy to any other year. If you are creating a project with the drag and drop, like this one was created with, but it's also a demo project, so everything's populated, each of the years is going to have a little red box around it, which indicates that there is information there. You can overwrite any of that management information by selecting which year you'd like to copy it to, but if you are creating a crop rotation from scratch and you want a corn every other year, you could select every other year to the end, or whichever year you'd like to populate with the same management. So I'm going to select no thanks for this because we've got all the information we'd like. And I'd also like to keep editing just to show you about the next pane. So we're going to go to soybeans here, and I just selected the next one on the list, so you can toggle between which crop you would like here. And everything is already pre-populated because we used that drag and drop feature, and it's a demo project. And so everything is as we would like it for the demo project. So I'm just moving through those panels there. You can make any sort of adjustments that you'd like. And we're on the last page again for the second year for our second crop. So I'm going to select next. We don't want to add another crop for this particular project, but you could. And I'm not going to copy anything, but you could. I'm going to select no thanks. And now we're going to be greeted by that same window again to either keep editing or continue to future management. You will only get this window of continuing to future management if every year in your baseline has a crop in it. Crop of some sort, or there is a fallow option. So for the demo project, we just have one scenario, which is we are changing our intensive till to no-till and our reduced till to no-till as well. So everything else is going to stay the same. So when you were first entering the future scenario, so we are looking at 10 years after the end of the baseline, you'll be greeted by a window that looks like this. And so you can create your scenario. Oops. Here we go. And you can start from scratch, or you can copy your management information from an additional scenario. So this was done by copying our management from our baseline to the new scenario, and then we just added our conservation practice which is conservation tillage, and switching to no-till. And so you can select add, and that would add a new scenario here, but I'm going to exit out of this, and I'm going to delete the scenario because we already have one by selecting the little delete button right next to it. And so in this scenario, if you use the conservation practice advisor, like I just demonstrated, it's going to apply that to your first parcel. And so here we only have one parcel, and so we switched only from intensive till to no-till. So we're in our first year of our future scenario, which is 2019. I'm going to select tillage, and it's already modified here. Again, just like before, you can make any sort of changes here that you would like, but everything else is going to look the exact same, as well as how you enter any sort of management. So you could change your entire scenario. It could look entirely different, or it could be just one simple change like we did here. But everything else, all of the functions, is going to be exactly the same. So we're on our very last page here. I'm going to select next. I don't want to add an additional crop. I don't want to copy anything because everything's already how I want it. I'm going to select no thanks. I am going to keep editing just to show you how to look at the other years, but you could continue to the report, or you could create a new scenario for up to 10. So I'm going to keep editing, and I'm going to go to the soybeans. And so the only thing that changed here is going to be my tillage. So we went from reduced to no-till. I'm going to show you another little trick here. So instead of selecting next, next, next to get to the end of the management here, I'm going to select skip ahead. And I don't want to add another crop, but you could. And I don't want to copy, but you could. Now I'm going to continue to the report. So depending on the complexity of your project, so how many crops you have, how many parcels you have, how many acres are in your total project, and how many scenarios you have, can impact how long it takes to get a report. I expect this report to be about 3 minutes long, and so I'm going to pause the video and just wait for that to generate. So now that your report has generated, you can see each of your emissions related to each particular parcel. So if we had more than one parcel, they would appear below here, by source and subsource category by expanding each of these rows here. And then you can also see your emissions based off of your scenarios. So our first two columns here are going to be associated with our baseline emissions. So what would the emissions be if you had continued your business as usual management practices for the 10-year period into the future? Or our future scenario here, which we had no-till, and our 4 columns here are associated with this particular scenario. So the first is the emissions associated, our uncertainty with that, and then our change in the 3rd column compared to the baseline. So the values given here are the average annual metric tons of CO2 equivalent over a 10-year period, which is the 10-year future scenario period. Additional things I would like to point out here is the uncertainty, which N2O is the only one that we have any emissions for this particular category. And so you can select each of the little histograms to get more information on how Comet Farm uses the Monte Carlo method to estimate the mean and confidence intervals associated with each of these source and subsource categories. The only one that we do not have uncertainty for as of yet in August of 2021 is going to be the soil carbon here, but that is coming soon. Additionally, you can view your Croplands report as a graph by selecting your particular parcel, though you can only see your source categories here. If you hover over each of the bars, you can see each of those values here, and you also have the ability to download your charts. If you have any further questions or you need additional help as you move through the Croplands demo project or any other part of Comet Farm, please use the help desk widget in the bottom right corner. You can search for frequently asked questions here, or you can contact us directly through this widget. If you are experiencing a problem, we would highly recommend that you include a screenshot of the software so we can better assess your issue. On behalf of the Comet Farm team and the NRCS, I'd like to thank you for watching.